have been such fools for the idea of the microchip being the mark of the beast. You've been so blind to it. You were so easily fooled. All somebody had to do is say the microchip is the way you get is how you get the mark of the beast. You put that chip in you, that's your forehead in your hand. It's ridiculous, man. It is absolutely ridiculous. You think God cares that you put a microchip in your body? You think God cares that you put a microchip in your body? You think God cares? You think God cares? You think God cares? You think God cares? You got a microchip on your phone, a microchip in everything that you have has a microchip.
Because I know I got Yahweh behind.
They came out with it.
FEMA camps, just to correct, there ain't no such thing as a microchip that's a mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is the spirit that you carry for that beast. So that mark, like when it says in your forehead, what's in your forehead? Your brain, what you think with. Your hand symbolizes the action. That's the mark in your hand. So now when you take in that information, what are you willing to do with it? We take in the information that I could be a drug dealer, and we take the action of doing it. We take in the information of I could kill my brother, and we take the action of doing it. What you put in your spirit, what you take into your brain affects how you carry yourself. So we don't have to wait. Listen, we do everything the white man tells us to do today. He does not have to put a microchip in our body to control us. He does not have to do that.
In that, no man might buy or sell.
Now this is where the confusion comes in, because brothers say, well, you're not going to be able to buy or sell. Go ahead.
Save he that had the mark or the name of the beast.
Go ahead.
Or the number of his name.
Now, I don't want to go into my own doctrine, but I truly believe there is going to come a time in this society where the white man going to say, you got to bow down and accept the ways of the devil and Satan, or you're not going to be able to survive at all in this world. That's going to be through doctrine and philosophy, not necessarily through a chip, though. Because we're all, damn near half the world is walking around with chips now, by way of the technology. So it's going to be something spiritual or a new religion. Remember, they got Project Bluebeam and all these things where they want to fake the second coming of Christ. No!
That's why I could never subscribe to the RFID chip being such a physical thing. You understand? So I'm speaking in terms of if a brother is in jail and his faith does not waver, but he's forced to take the chip. Or if you're in the hospital and you wake up one day and the chip is in you, but you believed in the truth, you're going to tell me you're guaranteed not to get this chip?
The mark of the beast is in there. The chip is in there. But they're going to plant a chip in your right hand or your forehead. That's in the Obamacare law. But they know you don't read and you don't give a damn.
I know that's what brothers are going to say. If you're in the spirit of Yahweh, you won't get the chip. You won't get the chip. You're going to tell me there's not going to be any believers that this chip is going to be forced on? You're going to tell me there's no brothers or sisters that this chip is going to be forced on? Don't sound like the chip to me. Don't sound like the chip to me.
Now it's time for a breakdown.
Never gonna get it, never gonna get it. Never gonna get it, never gonna get it. Never gonna get it, never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Never gonna get it, never gonna get it. Never gonna get it, never gonna get it. Never gonna get it, never gonna get it. Never gonna get it, never get it.
Give me that. You got it, Isaac?
Deuteronomy chapter 18 verse 22. When a prophet speaketh in the name of the Lord, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass.
We in June! Ain't no microchips! It's June!
The Smart Mark. Throw your other devices away, because the Smart Mark is more than just a phone. It's part of you. Use it as cash. Book your travel. And even shoot video. Distribution points are all over the city. And don't let the lines discourage you. The Rook Unlimited Smart Mark is worth the wait.
I never realized how wonderful technology could make me feel. The Smart Mark has brought order to my life.
And the best part? It's absolutely free. A gift of thanks to our city from Rook Unlimited.
23% of the population has been given the Smart Mark, number 1.
Time to test our system, number 6. The Flex Fighters are out there somewhere. Teaming up with Jonathan Rook. Let's put our new recruits to work. Subtly.
Especially the pesky hedgehog. And once everyone on Mobius is completely immobilized, I'll install one of these into every creature on the planet. Servitude chips. They guarantee complete and unquestioning obedience to me. Am I an evil genius or what? I said... You junk pile up! I'll do your bidding until the ends of time, oh powerful master! You dropped your guard, wretched head! Take all that is mine, O sovereign of sleaziness! Yes, much better. Let's see now, a test of your devotion. I know! Jump out of the window! I'll do it! Out of the way! We'll do whatever you say! Wonderful! It seems that the servitude chips are working nicely. Now we can test the ultra-free-zone-matic.
Last night I dreamt about how things were. And then I woke up here.
My responsibility was project leader or the senior project engineer. We began to work on the design of a microchip that, when it was completed, was 0.75 millimeters in diameter, 7 millimeters long. It was the size of 1/4 of a grain of rice. Again, I want to say that I was not a Christian and there were no Christians there. They said they wanted this to have a power source and be able to emit a signal. And they told us they wanted us to use lithium as a battery source. Lithium's used in watch batteries, it's used in heart pacemaker batteries, it's used in a lot of places. I designed into this microchip a little charging circuit that would charge that battery. This sounds like a lot of technical things coming together, but if you'll bear with me 1 minute, you'll see what God has laid out about this microchip. When we discovered that we needed to be able to charge that battery, I needed a temperature change, a change in temperature, to cause current to flow through that little charging circuit that would charge the battery. So I began to investigate and find out where in the body does the temperature change the most rapidly. We spent over $1 million in taxpayer money, and when the results came back, there was a lot of information. We divided it up amongst 3 teams, and then came back together with that information. It was determined that there were 2 places in the body that were ideal for the microchip. One was just below the hairline on the forehead. Every mother checks their child's temperature right here. So we could have paid the mothers $1 million and saved I never saw a mother check their child's temperature on their ankle. Always right here. The other place was the hand, the right hand preferred, because most people are right-handed. This didn't bother me, and it didn't bother anybody else on the team. The hand seemed a good place. Nobody wanted it here. And so the design work, everything was completed. The microchip was done. You're seeing it now on some of the Discovery Channel presentations. There are people who have received it already. It is real. It's not something that's coming way down the road. They gave me a Bible. They told me not to read the book of Revelation. They said the book of Revelation is too hard to understand. So I waited, and I didn't read the book of Revelation for quite some time. Then one day I came to Revelation 13, verse 16. And he caused us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. I didn't like what I saw. I went back and looked up the word mark. I went to the Strong's Concordance, and I found that John had used 3 words for the word mark. Charagma, charicature, and charex. That was from the Greek. I looked at those words. They talked about a scratch or an etching. They talked about a lot of things. And I said, God, this isn't it. We didn't do it. He said, go to the word for 666. The word is chixastigma. In the Greek, it says to go to 4742 as a cross. The last half of the word chixastigma. And when I looked at what it says stizo, i.e. to stick, to prick, a mark incised or punched into for recognition of ownership. I thought about the little injection tool. The end of it is called an incisor. I began to weep and I began to cry, and I said, oh God, what have we done? I couldn't believe that this lined up with what we had developed. And I began to run from God. I didn't run away from the church, I ran into the church. I tried to do as many things as I could to atone for this. But I want to tell you something, as God is my witness here tonight, this got in the way. Money got in the way. I had beautiful homes overlooking the lake. I had all the things that I wanted. And I ran because of the money. My ability to go and get $250,000 in research money took me away from telling the message. I ran for many years. What I want to tell you is that this is real. The microchip implant is real. Credit cards are failing. They can be counterfeited. The new smart card can be counterfeited. They can be stolen. They can be lost. All kinds of things can happen to a card. But you cannot lose your hand. Very quickly, they're going to move to this being in the hand. And I tell you, as a Christian, you cannot take this. No matter what anybody says, God's word says you cannot take it. No matter what they try to talk you into, God's word says don't take it. In Revelation 14, verse 9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up for ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. It's very simple. God's word says to do not take it. Today there have been over 15,000 babies that have been given the positive identification, the microchip. Many companies are using the microchip as identification in their top-level employees. The Immigration Naturalization Service has a better passport, the human hand. So many of these things are all around us. We talk about the signs of the New World Order. God has spelled out in his word just exactly what's going on today in the New World Order. Satan desires to have a one-world government. From the time he fell, he said, I want a one-world government. He wants to replace God. And so we see a government put together by men, a one-world government. The signs of the times are all around us.
The ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one-world government run by the banking industry, run by the bankers, and they're doing it in sections. The European currency, the euro, and the European Constitution is one part of it. Now they're trying to do it in America with the North American Union, right? And they want to create a new currency called the Amero, right? And the whole agenda is to create a one-world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips, right? There'll be no more cash. And this is giving me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. And all money will be in your chips. And so instead of having cash, anytime you have money in your chip.
10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain waves, and I can immediately tell you how the people react, or I can feel how the people react to your answers.
SpaceX and Tesla CEO Elon Musk is continuing to push the frontiers of neuroscience with controversial brain-computer interface startup Neuralink. A video posted to Twitter shows a monkey named Pager playing the video game Pong with his mind, thanks to a chip implanted in his brain. The post comes after an appearance by Musk on social media site Clubhouse in February, where he shared updates on the company's progress. According to Musk's predictions, Neuralink could shift to human trials sometime this year.
We feel confident about getting the link procedure, the installation of a link, done in under an hour. So you can basically go in the morning and leave the hospital in the afternoon.
The chip is designed to read and write brain activity and could potentially aid patients with neurological diseases like Alzheimer's. Musk has referred to the device as a Fitbit in your skull, claiming it will one day give people telepathic powers.
Paying with chip implants at E&M.
This is how we do. Nobody do it like you do it, so show us some love. This is how we do. We make a move and act a fool while we up in the club. This is how we do. Nobody do it like we do it, so show us some love.
Gold Daytonas on that cherry 6-4. White wall so clean like a...
Text or send email using only your thoughts. It's more than just wishful thinking, and it's opening doors for potentially millions of people suffering from severe paralysis.
The creators behind the mega hit show Westworld have something new coming to the small screen, The Peripheral. Their new mind-bending series set to premiere in 2 weeks in 240 countries. So he's got these implants in his body, which are kind of amazing. They give him a situational awareness that he shares with all the guys in his unit, but at the same time they all suffer from the same kind of unique PTSD as a result. Okay. So that's a really interesting element to the show.
What if the technological future was literally in your own hands? From a microchip implanted subdermally, merging the line between man and machine.
People call me cyborg and everything, which I think is pretty funny. And I mean, I guess it could be accurate.
To a tiny robot learning to imagine itself and its own purpose.
Look at how Tesla aims to bring humanoid robots into the workplace. They look like that, and eventually they could end up in your home.
The chips he had implanted inside both his hands can start his Tesla, open his home door, and in the future even replace his wallet.
I wanted to be able to leave my house with no house key, no car key, no wallet, and still be able to carry out my everyday activities like I normally would.
Biohacking your own body, opening up endless possibilities.
We're at the dawn of this, so it's slowly working its way up.
Countries are opting for current digital alternatives, especially ones which are stable and approved by central banks. They are called central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. They are much like cryptocurrencies, but much more stable. That is because they are controlled by governments. Several countries have launched their CBDCs. In Europe, Norway too is now testing its own digital currency. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are booming, and now the U.S. is looking into creating its own digital dollar. As KVU's Saranisha Heron shows us, that would come with some big changes to America's financial system.
Using banks as we know them could soon be a thing of the past. President Biden ordered the Treasury Department to consider creating a government-regulated digital dollar.
It would be probably as simple as opening up an app and you could have some banking services, including loans.
China has created its own form of digital currency. Known as the digital yuan, the currency will be owned by the central bank. This is the first major economy to create its own digital currency. The digital yuan isn't like Bitcoin, which is not backed by a government or central bank.
Everywhere she goes, Oh-Young Hallyu is followed. What she buys, how she behaves, is tracked and scored to show how responsible and trustworthy she is. It's called the social credit system, and in one version now being tested, a person's reputation is scored on a scale of 350 to 950. And Hallyu, with a good score of 752, is okay with it. In fact, most people are.
It's a mechanism like pushes you to become a better citizen.
It's big data meets Big Brother, expanding how the government monitors, understands, and ultimately controls its 1.4 billion citizens. Thanks to advances in artificial intelligence and facial recognition, and a web of more than 200 million surveillance cameras.
Are people bothered by privacy concerns?
We think the lot of camera keep the safety is really good. We can accept it.
Companies are experimenting with the algorithms to help the government create the new national social credit system. The government also has pilot projects. In one, citizens are required to do hours of unpaid work to get benefits. And scores are docked for things like littering, a messy yard, gossip, even jaywalking. Video of offenders is shown on the local news. And information collectors like Jo Ai-Ni are paid to report on their neighbors. Her quota, 10 entries a month. Like the man who carried a drunk person home. A good deed, she says. Good social credit gets rewarded with perks like cheap loans and travel deals. But a bad score means public shame and worse. Huang Hui-jun lost a court case and didn't pay. Now he's on a government blacklist. I can't buy airplane or train tickets, he says, and the list goes on. Being discredited makes it hard to get a job or put kids in top schools. The social credit system will go nationwide next year, and few here are willing to criticize it. Something that may pose a risk itself for a bad score and the life that comes with it.
Access to buildings and paying for coffee is now as simple as a touch of your hand. A microchip implanted beneath the skin gives people the same capabilities as dozens of cards and devices, and it's not as painful as you might think.
What was once confined to science fiction movies
This may be a little uncomfortable. Just implanted a radium diode. They're the access codes to your drop spot.
is now reality for a bunch of Sydney tech heads.
Can pay, open doors, and had my business card in there as well.
Remy Baker and Mitch Hunter from PhD Media are being microchipped to simplify their lives.
My work pass and potentially my Opal, which will allow me access to my office, to use the printer, to use the scanner.
We won't need any ID cards, we won't need any PIN codes, we won't need any sort of access cards or anything, so we can live a much sort of freer life.
The microchip, which is the size of a grain of rice, sits under the skin. Data from your bank card, payment method, building swipe, LinkedIn profile or medical history is cloned onto the chip, which is implanted in the hand. Using the same technology as tap and pay cards, the chip can then be used to open security doors, pay for a coffee, use public transport and access information you've programmed onto the chip.
This technology also has the potential to save lives. Skeeve has loaded medical data onto the chip in his hand, so if he was found unconscious, all you'd need to do is get a phone, tap it on his hand, and you'd have access to medical data like his blood type as well as any allergies he has.
For those concerned about privacy, the user controls what data is made available. Visa says it's possible for any device to become enabled for payments, but the chip would need to meet Visa's security standards and be issued by a bank.
Like, because my 12 minutes is just up, have reacted to the truth coming out. They admit that they've been telling porkies, and now they propose to increase their power. So central bankers belatedly admit, oh, now that you've mentioned it, yes, banks create the money supply. So let's abolish that now. And also, by the way, let's abolish cash. So what should we do? Well, introduce digital cybercurrency that central banks issue and control, and thereby gain total control over all economic transactions, decisions, and the whole lot you've just heard from the CEO of the GDI. So the greatest concentration of central banking power in history is really the bid they're aiming at. That's the central bank's goal. And, of course, digital accounts of dissenters and regime critics could be switched off. It would be very difficult to even purchase necessities. So this is an Orwellian dystopia of total control, the end of any freedoms. That's really what central banks are aiming at. Several central banks have, like the Bank of England, already prepared their microchip implant RFID chip to be implanted under your skin. And why is the sudden discussion about universal basic income from all the grassroots and inverted commas movements and billionaires? Oh, universal basic income is the bribe for you to accept the microchip. The overarching...
We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens, because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Now, why is data so important? It's important because we've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. Now, what do you need in order to hack a human being? You need two things. You need a lot of computing power, and you need a lot of data, especially biometric data. But control of data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. All of life, for 4 billion years, dinosaurs, amoebas, tomatoes, humans, all of life was subject to the laws of natural selection and to the laws of organic biochemistry. But this is now about to change. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud. These are the new driving forces of evolution. And at the same time, science may enable life, after being confined for 4 billion years to the limited realm of organic compounds, science may enable life to break out into the inorganic realm. Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Free will, that's over.
That's over.
Over. Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. Yeah, I mean, everything is being digitalized. Everything is being monitored. In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to. But in a crisis, you see, we have no chance. So let's do it.
Vaccine won't help us go to
the
test, of course.
The vaccine will help us, of course. It will make things, you know, more manageable. Surveillance. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. This, I believe, is maybe the most important event of the 21st century. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it.
Natural selection is replaced by intelligent design. The era of inorganic life is now beginning.
In the coming decades, AI and biotechnology will give us godlike abilities to re-engineer life and even to create completely new life forms. We are about to enter a new era of inorganic life shaped by intelligent design. Our intelligent design.
I will tell you that a collapse is coming that will change
everything. They know once America and the Western world see what's going on, when people really understand, things are going to change. So it's a race. Do we wake up before they put us in a cage, a digital cage? That's really what's happening. So I don't know when, but they need us in a digital cage. And the best way to do it, and the last way to do it, is a total meltdown of the financial system of the West. Because that's when you change everything.
The central bank digital currency, in my mind, will be the key flashpoint when I think it all comes apart.
When you talk about central bank digital currencies, in order to drive people into the CBDCs, the digital wallets centrally controlled by the government or the central bank, they have to create a financial emergency, don't they?
CBDC, central bank digital currency. Yes, the Fed coin is here. Now, they rolled it out on Wednesday. That was the only day they could do it, because they've been denying that any of this stuff was happening, but they could only get it when no one was paying attention. So they rolled it out, and it's in its beta test now. This is a Federal Reserve digital currency.
Okay.
Yeah. So one starts as a digital. The other one has to be transformed digitally. So they've cut that transforming part out, and that's the part where it gets really sketchy. I think maybe we should start having the conversation, because this is coming. Maybe we should start having the conversation of, gosh, this looks like the mark of the beast. Let me tell you about the plan to retire the U.S. dollar. Right now, there is a race going on for digital currency. It's a 3-horse race, and Bitcoin is not in it. It's the U.S., China, or the IMF, the World Bank. We are looking for what is going to be the world reserve currency. What is going to replace the U.S. dollar? Russia and others are pushing out digital currency, et cetera, but they're a tiny portion of the global currency power, and they're really not relevant, in my opinion. The U.S. Federal Reserve is behind China on the actual digital currency implementation. China already has the digital renminbi. It is renminbi is the people's money in Mandarin. However, even though they've already pushed this out and they're already using it, the U.S. is way ahead when it comes to potential adoption. 70% of international financial transactions right now are settled in U.S. dollars. This is what gives our dollar any kind of value now, whereas only 1.5% of the global transactions are settled in Chinese money. And so the plan is to issue a digital U.S. dollar and then automatically convert U.S. dollars from the old U.S. dollars to digital U.S. dollars, DUSDs. Okay, the banks would issue the DUSD at some ratio that the Fed would set. Now, here's why this is so important for you to be ahead of the curve on. The money in your bank account will suddenly become US or DUSDs overnight. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be dollar for dollar. In fact, the Fed is going to be deciding how much loss everybody takes. The Fed will also offer U.S. dollar cash holders, physical cash, but not in the banks, to cash in old USDs for new DUSDs for some time period, 6 months or a year.
Central banks have, like the Bank of England, already prepared their microchip implant, RFID chip, to be implanted under your skin. And why is the sudden discussion about universal basic income from all the grassroots and inverted commas movements and billionaires? Oh, universal basic income is the bribe for you to accept the microchip.
The Federal Reserve is considering a digital dollar. The implications for privacy and freedom are frightening. But central bank digital money is ominous. The downside of governments being able to track digitally every single product or service you buy and sell is chilling.
The third way we think CBDC can improve financial inclusion is through what we call programmability.
Most people don't want to know what's in the vaccines.
But yet when we open it almost 2 years into this
we find that it still says intentionally blank.
In fact, nobody wants to know what's in the vaccines because, look, if people understood what was in the vaccine, they'd go apeshit.
And you see, the difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, just as an example, it's you who are changed. And of course, this has a big impact on your identity.
I mean, COVID makes it accelerates the process of digitalization and automatization, and it makes surveillance go under your skin.
This is Richard Werner, the top academic scholar in the world on central banking.
The nature of this CBDC, what is it actually going to look like? They never talk about that. Right. But I heard one European central banker tell me what it's going to look like. He saw it. And it was around this large and would be implanted under your skin.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Now, the mark of the beast right now is spiritual for right now. It's all over the place, man. Because if you don't get your spirit right in these last days, you're going to fall victim to when they turn it into a physical mark. Right now, the mark of the beast right now is spiritual for right now. It's all over the place, man. Because if you don't get your spirit right in these last days, you're going to fall victim to when they turn it into a physical.
Hey, bro, is Quran spiritual? Is Quran spiritual? Yeah. I'm going to keep you on that next week. Next week.
Give me that. Who got it? You got it, Isaac?
Deuteronomy, chapter 18, verse 22. When a prophet speaketh in the name of the Lord, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass.
We in June! Ain't no microchips! It's June! The mark of, who remembers what the mark of God is? Raise your hand. The seal of God, the mark of God. Who remembers what it is? Raise your hand.
Ezekiel 9:4.
What is the seal of God?
That's the mark of God. It's the laws.
The laws. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you another question. It's an easy question. If the mark of God, the seal of God is the law, what is the mark of the beast?
Sin.
Oh, very good. Thank you. I thought you were going to say something else. I thought he was going to come out with a microchip. I said, if this guy comes out with a damn microchip. Now, I'm going to clear that up because we went over last week about digital currency. And, you know, Esau has plan A, B, and C. They might throw a microchip out there, but that's not the mark of the beast. Sin is the mark of the beast. Everybody got that? I hope y'all taking notes. Take notes.
But anyway, since we're reading about the mark, about the chip, which is the mark, I'm going to show you an actual photograph. This is an actual photograph. This is a diagram of the chip. There you go. So you better get hit. Here now. You better get hit when we speak about the chip. Get hip to the chip or you might get whipped.
What's that? That's going in your arm, right?
This is one that goes. This is the actual thing they're gonna put in your forehead, which they're already doing. They're doing it with animals right now.
Yeah. And in your food you eat, at McDonald's and Burger King.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with it. Actually, they're gonna actually put that mark in there. In other words, this is going to replace the money system. Right now, you can take out what's called paper money or currency, or you can use a debit card or a credit card. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, you know what?
You need that.
We're not going to deal with it. In other words, what they might do too, they're planning on setting up a big economic crash where this society goes bankrupt. Yeah. So they said the only way you can deal now is with this cashless society.
Yeah.
And for nobody to steal your credit card, we're gonna put the chip in your right hand or in your forehead. All right, and that's what they're planning on doing. All right, and here it is. Like I said, they already have the technology. Yep. That's an actual photograph of one of the chips that they plan on putting in. Whoever accepts it, your right hand or in your forehead.
Right. That's the chip right here.
That's the chip.
Found in the book. Hold it up high, brother.
So you better get hip.
You heard it here first. That's what you're going to be having in your hand.
Well, see?
Found in the book of Revelation. That's your chip right there.
Now I'm going to read something.
For those of you that don't believe the Bible is accurate, The Bible speaks about. Nah, you're gonna get a chip soon, brother. You gonna get a Spirit, brother. Right, yeah. Because he might be one of us. Now let me read this, all right? It said it is the same concept as the vehicle identification number, VIN, system for cars. Similarly, the biochip. Now the word bio, anytime you hear the word bio, it means body. All right? Something to do with the human body, all right? Similarly, the biochip's number remains with individually implanted animals for life, allowing them to be traced, tracked, and controlled. Current state-of-the-art biochip, bio meaning the body, right? Yep. Transponders are encased in teeny glass tubes about the size of a grain of rice. It says the injectable transponder, a passive radio frequency tag. Okay? Same thing as that thing they scan in the supermarket.
The same concept, all right? Now it says here, global economic system of the Antichrist, world dictator, a man whose number is 666, will call for just. Now, by the way, you got these people in the hip-hop world, if they want to make, there was a reason why 3-6 Mafia got that Oscar for that song. Because 3-6 Mafia, right. 3-6, it means 3 sixes. Right. What is this guy that they said he got killed? Tupac? Yeah. He came out with an album before he died, or supposedly it came out after he died. It was called Killuminati, Machiavelli. Now Machiavelli ties in, I'm not going to go deep into Machiavelli, but Machiavelli ties into this whole 666 system going back to the 1400s, all right? It says global economic system of the Antichrist, world dictator, a man whose number is 666, will call for just such an alphanumeric identification system. Such a planetary network will enable the Illuminati's New World Order, UN-controlled world government, to assign everyone on Earth a specific and unique ID number for tracking and control. So this brother mentioned about the Patriot Act to spy on you. Now they're going to really spy on you because they're going to go to the next act. Now the only way we can spy on you, because you can steal somebody's cell phone, we got to put this chip in you, so because you might be a terrorist. And if you say I don't want to take the chip, that means you hiding something. Mm-hmm. So you got to know not to take this chip, even unto death. Yeah. If they're going to put you in jail, damn it, go to jail. Yeah. If they're going to kill you, damn it, allow yourself to be killed.
Yeah, because they got a company called Halliburton. And Halliburton, they got a $6 million contract to build detention centers. Yeah. Now the detention centers is just like jail. A holding pen. Those are for the people that don't want to accept the chip. If they come to you and they say, look, you better take this chip, and you say, no, I don't want the chip because I read in Revelations it's against God's law, they're going to throw your ass in that detention center. But and then that's also in the book of Revelation too, because it speaks about how the devil will cast some of you into prison. Because like I said, they got, matter of fact, they got a website, a FEMA website, and FEMA's, on that FEMA website, they got a list of all the detention centers all across America. In California alone, they got 6 newly built detention centers with nobody in there. What are those detention centers for? And they're keeping that out of the media. The average person don't even know about that. Those centers are for when all hell breaks loose and society breaks down, and the New World Order guys want control. They're going to throw certain people in those detention centers.
And you know what? Now, he just read out of Daniel, the 12th chapter, about there should be a time of trouble. You got a lot of patriots, them white people down south, that call themselves reading the Bible, and they read about this, and they go on websites like Alex Jones. Now, did you see that interview with Alex Jones on CNN? Yeah. I put CNN on, and they said, we're going to have, and I said, what? Alex Jones? And then they had him on, and they let him say whatever the hell he wants. He was on that thing for about 5 minutes. I said, they're going to cut him off. I said, they're going to cut him off. They let him keep talking. And then Alex Jones commended the guy. He said, I got to commend you guys. I got to commend you for having the guts to allow me on, because if I was on any other TV show or network, you would have cut me off. They let him say what he had to say, and then he moved on. And it was all centered around this thing. There was an interview with Alex Jones with Charlie Sheen. All right, now he could be a Jake because he's Spaniard. He could be a Jake. So he's going. Now it's all on the media that he's saying that the World Trade Center, that thing was all planned. That the president had something to do with it. You want to read something out of it? Because you familiar with it. You know what points to hit.
Can I make one point? Yeah. That's why Jesus Christ. Well, the world calls him Jesus Christ, but we now know his name is Yahweh Shai. That's why he said what? He said, "Watch as well as pray." Now, what are you supposed to be watching for? You're supposed to be watching for these signs, like
you're supposed to be watching for the emergence of the beast in Revelation.
And there followed another angel saying, "Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, "If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb."
When Elias Brotberger goes to work, he doesn't need ID, and he doesn't need money. In fact, much of what he needs to get through the day is hidden right there, just below the surface, in his hand.
You like to touch it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, weird. Yeah, it's like a grain of rice.
Yeah, a grain of rice.
Embedded in his hand is a microchip that serves as his keys, his ID, and his wallet.
Yeah, it's all in the chip, so I use it like to get around the building.
Buy snacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's buy some snacks. Exactly. So I can't open it.
No.
Okay.
So what I need to do is I need to first blip my chip, and it will log me in, and from there I get access to the fridge.
Popular TV shows like Black Mirror have imagined chips as part of a dystopian future.
Install ingrain procedure with local anesthetic and you're good to go.
In Sweden, the microchips are already here.
The microchip implants use the same technology that's in contactless credit cards,
which have made cash pretty much obsolete in Sweden.
No cash.
At this tech fair, a chipping event for those on the cutting edge, merging their hands with this new technology.
I thought it would be fun, right?
The process is simple and swift. A pinch of the skin, and in a matter of seconds, the chip is inserted. The transformation is complete. As for the pain,
I barely felt it.
But even in this nation of early adopters, not everyone is racing to get chipped.
Feel less human. I will feel like a robot.
I mean, it's so much more data can go into this, when it's in your body.
There's no central registry tracking how many people are chipped, but biohacker Hannes Wellblood estimates between 5,000 and 10,000.
In the future, do you think everyone is going to be chipped?
I think it'll be voluntary, but I am certainly convinced that millions of people will find it very, very valuable to have a smart device under their skin.
Human microchipping may be our future, but in Sweden, it's already reality.
And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Revelation 15. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, bring them as filled of the wrath of God. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God Almighty. Just and true are thy ways, thou King of saints. Who shall not fear thee, O Lord, and glorify thy name? For thou only art holy. For all nations shall come and worship before thee, for thy judgments are made manifest. Psalm 91. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon a lion and adder. The young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because He hath set His love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him, and show him my salvation.
Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.